the bump and run, the Bristol move.
That's aggressive, but that's good. Good hard racing. Oh, he puts him out of the groove there.
Oh, man.
Will he get the bumper? Yes, he does. Here comes Logano. Logano on the inside. A drag race. They're sideways. And it's going to be Logano getting the win.
The back end of the 18. Kick out.
Yeah, he got into it right there.
Moved him out of the way.
Just got the lead.
It's almost too early to be racing that hard for the lead, wasn't it?
Never too early to be racing for the lead.
At Bristol.
At Bristol.
Man, this is one of the biggest wins of my career.
It's the bump and run,
Baby.
Yeah, welcome to the Bump and Run podcast. I'm your host, Michael D. White, joined by my two best friends, Matt the Statman Reilly and Eric Daytona Ron. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you guys had yourselves a James Dennis Hamlin type of weekend. Oh no, I forgot the money gun on the ground. And if you listen to Statman Matt at the end of last week's segment, you would have won some money for what I believe it's the second week in a row. Two perfectos, 2 weeks in a row. Eric Daytona Ron told you to pick MTJ last week. We told you to pick Denny this week. I'm sorry, I'm all frazzled. Boys. Oh my goodness. Boys. I feel like I made the microphone explode there. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Fellas, how was your weekend? I know I sound terrible. The show must go on. I don't have COVID anymore, but I still got something going on. So I'm on some antibiotics. And
We're fighting through it. We're fighting through it because that's what we do at the Bump and Run podcast. And he's coughing. We got to fill time here.
No, we're good. Just make sure you like, share, and subscribe. That way we build a nice audience that could pay my medical bills when I eventually pass away. And I leave these two knuckleheads doing it on their own. I got to get the password set up so you guys can log back in. But yeah, James Dennis Hamlin, he won in Kansas. The Toyota streak continues. And we're here to talk about it. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, do all that stuff. But fellas, how's your weekend? I spent my weekend indoors on the couch, obviously. But what were you guys up to?
I kind of spent mine indoors on the couch as well. I was violently hungover on Saturday after a wild Friday night. So it was a beautiful day on Saturday too. And it was painful for me to just be on the couch and not really enjoy it. But I made up for that on Sunday and saw some great racing and excited to get into it with you boys.
Oh, yeah. How about you, Matt?
Normal weekend. Nothing to write home about.
You had
Saturday night, watched the UFC fights at home, had a couple beers, enjoyed what I saw there. And, did running around, just normal stuff, normal weekend. Like we were saying kind of before the show is, summer's right around the corner. And once Memorial Day weekend hits, I think for all of us, the summer just takes off and we all have stuff going on. So again, just kind of enjoying that calm before the storm. But like Eric said, I was antsy when I woke up this morning to talk about this race for the second straight week in a row. We had a knockout of a race and I just can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, I spent watching the sunshine outside. It was tough. In fact, Saturday I went out and I just sat in the yard for a little bit. I'm like, oh, maybe I need to get some vitamin D in me, just like
Dude, sometimes that's what you need, man.
Oh yeah. So I sat out there for about an hour, me and the dog hanging out. I was timing the clouds going by and stuff and catching some rays. But other than that, I'm feeling pretty good now. I'm on a steroid and an antibiotic. I went to urgent care yesterday.
I can see it.
I'm getting fucking big, baby.
You're popping out of that shirt, man.
Actually, I'm getting small. I've dropped some pounds during this illness. I'm down to 150 pounds, boys. I am withering away.
And White Market's going out of business because you stopped eating their spicy chicken sandwich.
I know it's terrible. Hey, don't knock until you try it. Listen, this is an inside joke, but if any of you in the listening audience have a Wise grocery store chain near you, they have a $3 spicy chicken sandwich in their hot case in the deli. I swear to God, it's the same exact spicy chicken patty that comes on the Wendy's spicy chicken sandwich, and it's $3. You can't beat it. It's the best deal.
It sounds like those spicy chicken sandwiches are catching up to you, brother.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, if you want to end up like Whitey, don't eat that $3
I have a struggling immune system. I beat COVID, but it might have developed into pneumonia, a little spot in my left lung, and that's why I sound like this right now. But the fever's gone down, so I'm surviving, boys. I'm surviving. Anyways, the show must go on, and we got NASCAR news to talk about.
The Bump and Run NASCAR news.
All right, so we got two pieces of news. Most of the news this week has been all paint scheme reveals for Darlington Throwback Weekend. There's just too many to cover. You could go on Twitter and check those out for yourself. Go on J-Ski. They have a great gallery of everything. But one story that we kind of missed over the last couple of weeks, RCR lost their penalty appeal. We didn't cover this penalty at all in the last couple of weeks, and I feel like it just slipped past my radar, and I apologize for that. But Austin Dillon had a penalty for a modified splitter stay, which apparently must stay locked in place following inspection. So I was looking at the pictures. This was kind of hard to understand. So basically what it looked like was a big long shaft with a ball joint at the end, and it had some adjustable screws. Now, there's two jam nuts and a block center coupling nut that should be three separate pieces. Now, on the one and the three separate pieces, once they're in place, they can't be adjusted. Now, the one that was found on Austin Dillon's car, the two nuts and then the coupling piece in the middle were bonded together. And so that made it possible to adjust the splitter through the wheel well after post-race or after pre-race inspection and during pit stops. So they were definitely doing some ingenuity type shit over there. They were docked 60 driver and owners points, and they each lost 5 playoff points. The crew chief, Keith Roden, is suspended for 2 races and fined $75,000. I believe that the sanctioning body dropped some of the fines, opposed to the normal 100 points and $100,000 fine. At least that's what it seems. Did you guys catch this one the other day? Did you see the piece that I'm talking about?
No, when I read this too, I'm like, how did I not even realize that this is going on either? I remember hearing about Austin Dillon and the appeals thing, and I remember them pushing it back for some reason, and like delaying it over something. I don't know if it's because they were trying to appeal, if there was other appeals going on, that they just kept moving it back after it happened. And then maybe that's how it just got like swept under the rug, because the appeals process, it does take quite a while, if I'm not mistaken. Like, some of the teams either opt to take their suspensions up front even before the appeals, or vice versa. Does that sound right to you? Like, it takes a while to get that appealed in there?
It does. I think this infraction happened a couple weeks ago, and I think that's why we just kind of glossed over it. I think it happened while the colleague and the Hendrick appeals were going on, and it kind of just overshadowed things. I'm retweeting a video from Bob Pockris that better explains things. So if you guys want to check out what we're talking about, head on over to Bump the Letter and Run Pod on Twitter, and you can see the video there. And then the second piece of news, I'm sorry, really interesting. Ryan Newman is going to be making his return to the Cup Series part-time, running for Rick Ware Racing. Obviously, Cody Ware's still out of the car after his off-track incidents and pending legal cases. He's going to be returning at Darlington. So we get a throwback driver for Throwback Weekend. What do you guys think of the Rocket Ryan Newman coming back to Darlington?
I'll say one thing. That 51 car in the back of the pack was already trouble to begin with. And put Ryan Newman in that car now. Oh my God, those drivers that are trying to stay on the lead lap, you better look out.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was going to say, no one's going to go a lap down if he's in the back of the pack because he's not going to let him pass him. Everyone's going to be safe. No one's going to be a lap down now. No, it came out of nowhere. Like, I saw it, and I actually thought that it was like a joke. Now that Twitter doesn't have any freaking blue check marks,
oh, yeah.
I have a hard time verifying what's real and what's not anymore, which that's a whole different topic. But I saw it, and I was like, that's probably not real. And then I checked like 2 or 3 other reliable sources, and yeah, sure as shit, here comes Ryan Newman for a couple races. So that's cool. Is he doing SRX too? Again, I know he won a race last year.
I'm not exactly sure.
I'm sure he's probably doing one. I mean, Kenseth's doing another one. Like those guys seem to be like a staple as far as doing 1 or 2 of those SRX races. I just think he was part of the Ford camp, Newman, with the last. So I think this is a Ford and a Ford thing, maybe. I don't know. Wasn't he? Does that have something to do with it? Like they're trying to you think they're scrambling over there? Like since this happened to Cody, like they didn't know. And like, this is just something that like, hey, he's still racing in SRX. He was just in the, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's kind of a desperation move right now or something.
Well, you want to know what? I don't think it's so much of a desperation move. I don't think Ryan Newman ever truly intended to retire. Brad Keselowski just bought his car from under him, and he wanted to keep Chris Buescher at the team. And I remember quotes from Brad Keselowski when he bought his stake in RFK saying he wanted to find something for Ryan Newman. Ryan Newman still wanted a race if it was possible. I just don't think they ever found a deal. And I think it's kind of like when Kenseth came back to fill in for Chip Ganassi Racing, when Kyle Larson had his whole deal.
Right.
And I think he's just kind of doing them a favor, maybe. You know, I'm pretty sure he's still involved in Ford Performance and all that. So it kind of helps that he was a former Ford driver at Roush. So I think it's just one of those things. Like, I don't think Ryan Newman really ever said goodbye. Just, I'll see you later, you know?
Poor fella.
It was shocking. I was a little thrown off by it, seeing him coming back. Because, like, you know, he's part of that era that's like they're all kind of done and moving on and gone. You know what I mean? So, especially to come back to a Rick Ware 51 car, yeesh.
You know what? I would kind of be interested to see if Ryan Newman could add any input to the team and see if they could perform well. Because typically these Rick Ware cars, they're run by guys who always ran in the back markers, you know? And I know Newman didn't have the greatest seasons near the end there, but he was still a talented race car driver. So I'm sure he has some good input to add. I'm kind of excited for Ryan Newman to come back. I hope it's a full season deal now too. We'll just have to wait and see for the rest of the season. But that's all I have for NASCAR news, unless you guys saw anything else throughout the day that I might have missed.
Now, like you said, just a lot of paint schemes and throwback weekend coming up. And that's a lot of what I've been seeing, and nothing as far as like real newsworthy stuff.
It is Mother's Day weekend coming up here, so I feel like we should all say Happy Mother's Day to the lovely ladies in our lives who are mothers. So Happy Mother's Day out there.
Of course, Happy Mother's Day.
I don't think a lot of moms listen to us. Jody's mom does. Jody's mom does.
My mom listens to us. So hey, Peg, Happy Mother's Day. I love you. I was just talking to her earlier today. All right. To the NASCAR weekend, we were in, where were we? Kansas. Oh my goodness. Grant Enfinger won the truck race. Eric, did you see any of the truck race? I know me and Matt were texting about the truck race.
I did not see any of the truck race.
This was the first truck race I watched all season. Man, I wish I didn't have COVID and I was sick, because it was painful to watch, man. There's just no respect. There's no respect in the truck field at all.
I kind of read through your guys' texts as you were watching it, and I decided not to turn it on, to be honest with you, via your guys' text back and forth, and just seemed like it was just a wreck fest, like a typical truck, no respect, you know, punting, you know, someone here and there, early turmoil. That's trucking, you know what I mean? That's a typical truck race.
That is trucking, though. It really is.
You know, it is. And, you know, that's become, you know, how these racers are racing these days. And it starts there, you know, and I'd like to see it cleaned up, but it is entertaining at the same time. Up until
I had fun watching it.
Mark, like up till that certain caution mark, you're like, okay, this is entertaining. And then it goes from entertaining to another like get it together, boys. You know what I mean? That's the truck series in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like it's fun until it's not fun.
Yes. And that's just about every week. You know, it's entertaining. There's a lot going on. Oh my God, look at this guy, look at this guy. And then it's like, Jesus, like I just want this race to finish already.
Yeah. I tell you what though, I'm glad I made it to the end because it rejuvenated my love for PBA bowling. Pro bowling was on afterwards, and I forgot how exciting bowling can be. Now, hear me out. I feel like bowling is one of those things that most people have done in their life. So watching it on TV, everyone automatically already knows the rules and stuff. I was getting really into watching bowling because like these guys are going strike for strike, and then like one would miss one, and then you'd see like the possible total score drop by like 30 points. You're like, oh my God, he's 30 points in the hole. How is he going to come back from this? And then the next guy would like fuck up 2 frames later. Like I was having a really good time watching bowling after the truck race. Might have to start a bowling podcast after this one too.
Bowling has gotten me before too. Matt, you'll attest to this. NFL Countdown.
Yep.
Right as soon as that ends, bowling always would come on right after the NFL Countdown. And like, and you're like, you're trying to like switch over, like, oh, I gotta get to the other game. Bowling's on. I left it on too long. I gotta change the channel.
especially, God, dude, I was famous for that. You go out Saturday night, so you throw on NFL Countdown on ESPN. You fall asleep halfway through. You wake up, it's like 1:45. You've already missed the first quarter of all the games.
Yeah,
ESPN is still on. Bowling's on. You're panicking to get to the games. I've been there a million times.
Can I tell you what? Bowling is great background noise too, because it's so quiet and you have like the white noise of the pins and stuff. I fell asleep by the second matchup, and I woke up at like midnight. I was like, man, what a great night of truck racing and bowling. Like that's America, baby. But Grant Enfinger won that race, and I like Grant Enfinger. I'm a big fan of his. He's got a pet pig. I think his name is Wilbur, actually. I'm not exactly sure, but he talks about it on Sirius XM interviews all the time. And I'm glad to see he's doing well in GMS. I thought Thor Sport did him dirty a couple years ago, kind of forcing him to run a part-time schedule. And I always like Grant Enfinger. I think he sounds cool. His voice is cool. I like him. And then Denny Hamlin led 8 times for 34 laps in the Cup race on Sunday. And if you listen to Matt on Monday, you would have won some money. He bet on him. He won himself some money. The race lasted 3 hours, 24 minutes, and 24 seconds. 11 cautions for 57 laps. 37 lead changes among 12 different drivers. Your top 5, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, William Byron, Bubba Wallace, and Ross Chastain. Fellas, let's jump into the race grades.
It's our NASCAR weekend race grade.
All right, and we'll start with you, Matt.
All right, so I want you guys and our listeners to play along with me here, okay? Close your eyes, okay?
I've got my eyes closed.
Unless you're driving, then don't close your eyes.
Close
your eyes. Okay, now I want you to picture an F1 race. Okay, Kansas was the total opposite of what you're picturing, and it was awesome. I gave it an A+. This was easily the best race of the season, and for me, the new watermark on where a race needs to be in order for me to give it an A+. We had everything you could possibly want in a race, right? We had passing for the lead. We had passing in the top 5, in the top 10, and all throughout the pack. We had guys get trapped 2 laps down and finish inside the top 3. We had a chase down for the lead in the final 50 laps and a last lap bump and run for the win. And then we had fighting afterwards. So give me that recipe every damn week and I'll be a happy camper. The first time this year, back-to-back A+ races for me. Phenomenal race. I knew it was good because I kept thinking about the race afterward in a positive way. I kept thinking about that race afterwards. We were texting like, oh my God, like that was amazing. The whole last like 50 laps or whatever, like I was off my couch standing there like yelling at the TV. So just the 1.5-mile tracks with this new package have seemed to really hit on it. And yeah, I just loved what I saw. I wish we still had Chicagoland on the schedule, because that track with this new car would be unbelievable. So yeah, just really, really fun.
Yeah, I agree. I wish Chicagoland would come back, especially since their surface is getting worn like Kansas has been getting worn. How about you, Eric? What'd you think?
Oh yeah, I mean, I agree with Matt wholeheartedly. This race was another A+. To me, there, like Matt said, like when a race sticks with you and when you still carry that feeling hours after the race ends, you had a good one on your hands. And for me, if you listen before, there's certain boxes that we all like to check off, to what makes up a good race: passing, battles for the lead, pit strategy, pit errors. You know what I mean? There was everything in this race. We had it. And that will produce an A+ race. So I agree with Matt. It was phenomenal all day long. From lap 7 forward, it was like, oh, this is going to be a good one. Larson, when Slick Willie got loose from the lead, lost the lead, like what happened to William Byron? And then they showed he got loose on his own. And then Kyle Larson went back and he, came back to the lead. And it was just Truex. I thought Truex was going to win again at one point in that race. He had another great car. So it just goes to show what winning could do to that team. And there was just so much action all day long that, I agree too, Matt. This is the new precedent as far as like 1.5 miles for an A+ race.
There was another in-car camera of, I believe it was Marty.
It was Martin Truex
on one of the restarts, and he had one of those Eric Jones type runs where he passed like 13 or 14 cars in like 2 laps. It was unbelievable to watch him just go through the traffic. I love when we get those shots.
I love that the spotter audio was synced up to it too, because all it was the spotter going 3 wide top, 3 wide top. Like Marty was putting them 3 wide on the top, getting it to stick and making fucking moves. It was awesome. I think that was like 18 laps into the 3rd stage, if I'm not mistaken. I'll try to retweet that video if I can find it again.
2 weeks in a row, I said I'll do it. I'll give credit when credit is due. Fox had another good week, in my opinion. And that is why I have this on, because I thought he was excellent.
Kurt Busch was great
on the broadcast, Kurt Busch. And it seemed to work with him. So there's certain people that they get up there, you could tell the difference.
Yeah.
When someone could do it and when someone can't do it. And back-to-back weeks, I feel like we actually got a decent broadcast out of Fox.
It was decent. My one big thing that I complained about, and God, it drove me crazy, is it was Marty and Denny during green flag stops, and they were talking about how, I think it was Denny is going to pass out Marty, and they were talking about it, and it wasn't the booth's fault because they were talking about the right thing, but it took a while for the camera to get over to what they were talking about, and then by the time they got over to it, the pass had already been made, or it was in the process of being made, where we didn't get to see that hunt down. And I just thought that, like, man, I love when that happens, when there's a battle like that. Guys pulling off pit road, and you have another guy coming out of turn 4, and is he gonna catch up to him? Is he gonna catch up to him? And the booth was talking about it, but they got the cameras got to it too late. And God, I love that, and they just missed on that one.
I said it in our text messages. I honestly think that Fox is still relying on like a bare bones camera crew, because a lot of the shots we get seem like they're just like stationary robot cams, like on the wall and everything. And
they're missing that aerial shot, man.
Yeah.
Like that, like NBC has, I don't know if they have a drone or a helicopter at all the races, but like that aerial shot that NBC is famous for, like Fox just doesn't have that. Like when's the last time you saw an overhead like battle cam that from Fox? You don't see it. I noticed that at Dover there was nothing overhead. So
they seem to go with like this weird exit of turn 4 on the ground shot, and it's like, what do you do? Like, what? That's the dumbest shot of all time.
It looks cool in Daytona once, and that's it. Yeah, it looks cool for Daytona once, and that's it. I noticed the same thing, Eric, and I don't think they do have like a helicopter or anything. I think that now they would use a drone. But yeah, you know what I wish though, because me and Matt were talking about Kevin Harvick in the booth on Saturday night for the truck race. Like, he's really good in the booth. Like, if you don't like him as a driver, that's one thing. But as a broadcaster, I think he's fantastic. I think the same thing about Brad Keselowski, and I think the same thing about Kurt Busch. And I wish that Fox would announce a Kurt Busch, Kevin Harvick, Mike Joy booth. I think that would
Adam Alexander. Alexander.
Yeah, if Mike Joy's getting old,
I'm done with Mike Joy. I think I'm done. You got to replace the whole thing.
Put Adam Alexander in it then, because I think
Adam Alexander on those Xfinity calls is
he's really good.
Lightning rod. He is so much fun.
Yeah, and I think those two drivers would be perfect because I just feel like not only are they relevant, like, for still being in the car, you know what I mean, where they could talk about the next gen car and everything. They're just very smooth at explaining things and being concise. And I think that's the problem with Clint Boyer. And I hate to shit on Clint Boyer every week, but like, you could tell he's just trailing off, kind of like I am right now. But but my race grade was an A. I thought it was a great race. The restarts were intense and insane. We saw them like going 3-4 wide. We saw some varying strategy near the end of stage 2 that I thought was pretty interesting, because now Joey Logano, who was in 18th most of the day, now he's winning stage 1 or stage 2, and then that set him up for a good finish in stage 3, which Bree needed for fantasy. So we were watching Joey Logano, and one thing to notice, the Fords have been really bad at mile and a halves. They brought it up on the broadcast. Apparently they made some aero changes in the off season, versus drag versus downforce. And it's really not helping them. That's probably why they're doing well in the super speedways. But just for anyone playing fantasy, I would step away from Ford for as long as possible. And then, I just thought it was everything you wanted to see in a race.
Unless you're in our fantasy,
then
lineup, and play Fords, play Fords for the foreseeable future.
Play Austin Cindric as much as possible. Play Harrison Burton as much as possible. But no, I thought this race was just everything you want to see in a mile and a half race. Great side-by-side battles throughout the field. Great battles for the lead. Great battles between short-run cars and long-run cars. I was really happy that it went caution free near the end there, and we got to see that long run car of Denny Hamlin kind of catch up and battle for the lead. That's what gave
me the plus on the end of mine. Yeah. I knew it was an A, but like I bitched a couple weeks ago about that green-white checker and like how it kind of screws up the end of a race for me. So, Whitey, you're dead on with that.
We got a natural hunt down of an ending. And I even texted you guys with like 15 to go or whatever. Please no caution. Please no caution. Please no caution. Because like I love watching that hunt. Like, is he going to get there? He's got the long run car. Like, he's going to get there. What's going to happen when he gets there too? And oh my God, like, God, I'm probably after this going to go watch the last like 10 laps.
And then
that was so much fun.
Like 5 laps just trying to side draft and get him. Couldn't do it. And like I know a lot of Larson fans are pissed off that like they made contact. I know a lot of Denny.
If you go watch that again, Larson made contact with the wall. That was not 100% on Denny.
No, but even just the way it ended with Larson still finishing in second, like how can you be mad at that? Like that was
no
just
harm, no
awesome
foul,
battle.
good race, good battle. Like it was that's where that plus came from. It was just everything at the end of a race that I liked. You know, we had some good racing in other races during it, but that ending, man, without those stacked up. Every 2 laps, another green white checker crash, another green white checker crash, another green white. I was done with that, so it was definitely a palate cleanser to see it go green.
Something else too that I noticed was there was a moment there when during the hunt of Denny versus Larson, where Josh Berry in the 48 was lap traffic. And I was actually yelling to the TV, don't get in the way, man. Don't hold Denny up. Let them because he's teammates with Larson, right? So don't hold him up. Just stay out of the way. And he did, thank God. But some guys might not have done that. Some guys might have jumped up there to hold up Denny for a little bit, but he stayed out of the way as well. So I thought that was a classy move.
No. I heard both the drivers say that in interviews. They had thanked the spotters and the guys that were a lap down for moving out of the way in enough time.
Everyone did a really good job there.
They did give them a shout out at the end of that race, because that could have altered everything. And them getting out of the way allowed that battle to ensue. So good on them for acknowledging that.
Yeah, I agree. And it's got me really excited, boys. I know we were down about 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, but we got Darlington that usually produces really good racing. We got the Coke 600 that might have been the best 1.5-mile race we've seen in a decade last year. Like, how good was last year's Coke 600? And then we have the All-Star race at North Wilkes-Barre, where, I shit on North Wilkes-Barre and stuff, but the track surface is rough. So it should be interesting at least to see what happens.
And it's a short race too, right? So we just have like the nostalgia of it going on there too. So yeah, we've got May is going to be a great month of racing.
Listen. Undersell, overperform.
Yeah.
Let's take it easy.
I'm just getting excited. I know.
I know. I need it. It's inside me still, but it's like,
yeah.
Let's see here.
No. May usually belongs to IndyCar. We're coming for you. we're taking May back. May is going to be NASCAR's month. All right. IndyCar. Undersell.
I'm on board, brother. I'm on board. Especially after last year's Coke 600. Like, I can't wait. And a little added bonus. Our 100th episode will be the episode after the Coke 600. So there might be something special in the works. We're still trying to figure out what we want to do with that. But
we're doing the shows naked.
We're doing the shows naked. Yeah. But boys, let's jump into the checkers and records.
3 wide for the lead. 1 lap to go.
It's this week's checkers and wreckers.
All right, since we started with Matt for the race grades, let's start with Eric. What's your checkers and wreckers for the weekend?
All right, I'll start with my wreckers. White, you actually hinted to this just a little while ago.
Okay.
I'm wrecking the Ford camp.
All right.
Ford is just struggling. Like Whitey had mentioned, they chose to go a little more the aerodynamics and drag versus this and the nose and the tail and their design. It's not working out like they had hoped it would. I just think there's probably Joey and Kevin and Ryan that are probably the 3 that I would still have high hopes for.
Yeah.
Other than that, I wouldn't trust anybody coming out of that Ford camp. It just, I don't know. Like, even I know we're high on RFK and Brad and them. I've seen enough out of them, but not enough to be like, oh my God, they could win a race or they could do this. They're still climbing. They're still trying to get there. And just that in itself, we're talking RFK is the top of the leaderboard when it comes like Ford and that's scary,
Even Joey, who I think most people would consider he's our defending champion for Christ's sakes. Most people consider Joey the top Ford guy. And Fox did a good job pre-race of showing his struggles where he's been up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down all season. Very inconsistent finishes from him as well. So, Ford, little bit of trouble. But you know what? They tend to figure it out. The Ford camp tends to figure it out. So I think, right now, yes, they're having problems, but let's see where we are mid-June, mid-July for them.
To your point, though, Matt, I actually have a stat here for you.
No.
It is their worst start to a season, 12 races in without a win. And the last time that happened was 2010.
So over a decade.
20 races in.
Really? So like you said, though, they usually do figure it out. I feel like Penske figures it out the quickest, but there's something interesting that I've been watching at Penske right now where last week at Dover, Blaney had something figured out where the 2 and the 22 just struggled. Same deal. Blaney was up front for a little bit in the afternoon. I don't really remember what happened to him. I don't even remember where he finished.
I'll tell you what, he killed me in my fantasy. I had him and Busher in, thinking like, hey, get a top 10, they'll definitely be able to do it. They've been running well, and they didn't. So, like.
And Logano got a top 10 through strategy. Like, he was struggling all day long too.
His finishes aren't really the speed of the race car. It was more due to, oh shit, we're in the back all day long. Let's take a swing at this strategy.
Yeah.
And they got the cautions that they needed to make that strategy work. So I think they're more on the lucky end than actually on the speed and run it. Like it doesn't line up, if you look back at their finishes, and I think they struggled more and gotten lucky with some of these cautions and finishes at the end of these races.
Blaney finished 16th and only one Ford in the top 10, which was Joey. And ouch.
Yeah, that's not good for Ford at all. And it kind of makes what Harvick was doing a couple weeks ago even more impressive, because Harvick was on a heater of top 5s and top 10s. And now we see how bad Ford really is struggling right now. But like you said, they always figure it out.
I was looking at all the Ford drivers here. There's 14 Fords out in the field.
Yeah.
What happened to McDowell?
Oh. Nope, non-existent this year.
Non-existent this year, dude. He had his best season. Was amazing. He was fast, short tracks, road quick. He was Daytona.
He was doing great everywhere for that team. Yeah. And that's got to be the manufacturer side. It has to be. There's no other explanation.
He's 20th in points right now too. Let me see here. No wins, no top 5s, and one top 10 so far.
It kind of shows how impressive RFK's been this season, though, to be doing what they've been doing and showing improvement when all the other Fords are falling off, and they're just kind of keeping themselves afloat where they were at the end of the season, which is pretty interesting. How about your checkers? What's your checkers?
My checkers goes to the 11 team. I was listening to Sirius XM, and I had heard someone, I don't know, it might have been Claire, talking to Denny and how his cars have been fast. He has been fast, but his pit crew kind of fumbled a few times. And this is going back to last year as well, where he's fast, his pit crew fumbles. And they had an interview with the crew chief, and they said they had a meeting this week as a team.
Yeah.
And I don't know what was said to the team, to the crew, but there was a meeting of like, hey, let's figure this out. Let's tighten this up, and let's go out here and perform like we know we can. And lo and behold, they go out there and they win the race, and they flawless on pit road, besides Denny Hamlin overshot one time. So it's like, they cleaned it up. And, sometimes it takes a little bit of a speech, a little bit of a, you got to get your ass chewed out a little bit by the old boss man in order to step up your game.
Yeah.
And I think that happened around the shop this past week for that 11 team. And, it showed out there. So good on the team for getting it together, finding out what they needed to do to get over that hump of those little mental errors during a race. And I just had to shout out that's always nice to hear when a team could overcome these little problems that could become a mental fog that hangs around for a while with these little things. So maybe they got it turned around, and that camp over there, they really stepped up, and I hope they could do it for an extended period of time, because they seem to have been the downfall of Denny's last few years, making that championship run late in his career here.
Yeah. I like that one, and I like Denny Hamlin for putting some fault in himself for overshooting his pit box in that one instance, and giving those guys the props that they deserve, because how many times have we seen a race won or lost on pit road too? It just takes one
every week. It seems like.
Yeah. So last week we saw Brad punts a tire that got left in front. Like pit errors are huge errors. You know, you see someone leave a wrench on the deck lid,
Deck lid.
You know, so
That's a super inside joke.
yeah, I'm sorry, Eric. I had to do it. Matt, how about you? What's your checkers and wreckers?
So Slick Willie 2 Clocks is mine, but I know Whitey, he's also yours, so we'll wait and talk about that there.
Okay.
So I'm going to call a quick audible, and I'm going to give it to the fans at Kansas. That place was packed, which, you know, every time that happens, we're going to point it out on this show. You know, I don't know. It shows that the sport is in a very healthy position. You know, you could disregard what people on Twitter are saying, because if you go on Twitter and that's the only information you take in, you'd swear to God the sport was burning down. But people are spending their hard-earned money, us three included, on attending races when they can spend it in a million different other places. And I think that goes to show how great the sport really is that, you know, people work hard so they can go and enjoy these races in person. And I love seeing it. Those stands were packed, and they got rewarded for an awesome show yesterday.
And I'll tell you what, it might be on my list for this fall playoff race.
Yeah, man.
I didn't hit Daytona this year. I didn't go to Dover. I got some open weekends here as far as like to plug a race in that I didn't go to. And man, if we get anything like we had this past weekend in the fall, it might have to be a must attend.
Yo, the Jags aren't playing the Chiefs, are they, this year? Are they on the schedule?
I don't know. I didn't look.
Could you imagine if it was the same weekend? Oh, I guess it would probably be the same day, though. That wouldn't really work out.
Right. Yeah.
Never mind.
Whatchamacallit, you need it to be warm in the fall, though. I feel like that's been some of the fall off with some of these 1.5 miles. Once we get into those colder months, when is Kansas? Is that October or is that into November already?
It's later into the season. It's I want to say it's late September, early October.
We'll have to check the race grades from last year to see what we gave it, but that sounds like a great race to go to. Like, because this car has been performing really well on 1.5 mile racetracks.
From everything,
I'm almost certain I gave it an A because that's the one that Kurt Busch won, right?
No, Bubba.
Kansas?
Oh, Bubba won that one. Yeah.
Oh, dude, Kansas is September 10th. It's still gonna be warm out.
Oh yeah. You want it? Eric, that might be a good one to go to.
It's still going to be really warm out. Early to mid-September, it's still pretty nice out, and we can continue instead of, you know. But I wanted to check what I gave it. Kansas got a B.
I gave it an A last year.
Okay, so it was a good race last year.
Nice, yeah. Playoff race. Go to Kansas, baby.
Mm-hmm.
How about your records? What's your records?
My records. So we haven't talked about this yet. So that goes to show like how great the race was. Is we had fists thrown yesterday on pit road, and we have yet to even mention it. So we could start talking about it now. I know we're going to talk about it a little bit in the Pickle Lane segment, but my records goes to Noah Gragson, but not for picking a fight with Ross, but for not swinging first. You'll hear me take this stance every single time there's a fight. If you're going to get into someone's personal space like that, stop talking about it, stop grabbing, stop shoving, and just swing. Because I bet you Noah's left side of his face is hurting today, and it didn't need to be. That could have been avoided if he just swung first. So, I mean, if you're going to make a statement, go make a statement, right? So I don't know. That one was a good fight. That one was a good fight.
And I tell you what, someone retweeted a couple of Noah Gragson's fights from the Xfinity series. There was one where he did throw the first punch. I think it was at Martinsville. And the kid has an arm on him. Like he could, and he took that shot like a champion too. I feel like,
oh yeah,
like he was barely rocked and he was cocked back, ready to throw it back, but the security guard just kind of infiltrated him. But Eric, like, how many fights have you lost in your entire life?
Never. Always through first, baby.
Exactly.
Always.
That's why.
Exactly. if you're really ready to fight a guy, don't talk shit. Just hit him.
Right.
You know, for real.
Right.
Ross Chastain knows why someone would hit him. There doesn't have to be a discussion. But
anytime a driver's walking up to Ross, he's assuming he's about to get swung on.
Yeah. But also, Noah Gragson, you got to think about farmer strength, because Ross Chastain has been working in the farms as a kid his whole life. He's got farmer strength.
Dude, doesn't matter, dude. It doesn't matter. That bowl cut trumped the farmer strength, dude. You get into a fight with a bowl cut on, dude, and you don't mess with a guy with a bowl cut coming at you trying to swing. You know what I mean?
Dude, wasn't it?
No, that's
Noah who was taking
power with the bowl cut.
Wasn't it Noah who was taking jujitsu or karate classes last year?
I think he was.
What he needs to do is fire that guy immediately, because it ain't working.
He needs a new trainer.
Although if he was working on jaw exercises, maybe it is working, because like you said, he took that shot and he went right back at him.
And there was one clip with such good audio, that connection made some noise.
Dude, that clip that we shared together in our group chat, that was such good quality that leads me to believe there has to be a documentary in the works or something, because that was movie quality. Every word was picked up that they said to each other. That punch sounded like it was in surround sound. It was phenomenal quality, that video.
It was absolutely amazing. I
must have watched that video. It's a 30-second clip. I must have watched that video 18 times in a row.
It was awesome. I loved it. Let's see. Well, let's get to my checkers and records. I'll give you my records. Just that weird period in the third stage where we would have caution after caution. I went back and checked. We had 5 cautions in the third stage, and each one was about 20 laps apart from each other. It just really slowed down the momentum for me. But I was so happy to see it go caution free the last 50, because I loved watching that long car, the long run, like I said earlier. So it made up for it. But even in our group chat, our buddy Shrey was like, man, this race is taking forever. I'm like, I agree, dude, because every 20 laps we had a caution. But my checkers, like Matt said, William Byron, he needed a lot of those cautions, though. He pulled out a third place finish after the day he had gone down multiple laps. Usually when you go a lap down, you could catch the lucky dog and stuff. He was 2 laps down at a certain point. He had to take all sorts of crazy strategies to get back, and then to finish in the top 3. Just absolutely amazing performance from 2 clocks.
He had damage to his vehicle too from hitting the wall multiple times. He had said that his car, that right rear damage, it did affect his car. So they really had to work on that thing. And it was funny because before we were doing the show, Dana asked me, what are your checkers and records? And I'm like, dude, I'm probably going to have to go with William Byron. I'm like, Slick Willie. And then I said I was Whitey's.
So that would have made all 3 of us.
So it was just so impressive to me for a different standpoint. I was going to give him my checkers because, listen, all of that said, multiple laps down, battled through damage, comes back for a third place finish. To me, that shows that he's a contender in this Final Four, because there's honest to God no quit in that team. To have 2 wins on the season already, to have dominated the season like he's dominated, he could have, right at the beginning when he got loose and slipped and fell back and tagged the wall, when he's 2 laps down, him and his crew chief could have been like, okay, bring it home. Don't damage it. Let's just get out of here. Shit weekend. Let's go. Yeah. No, they didn't. They said every point matters. Every week matters. Let's learn. Let's adjust. Let's go. Let's win. Yeah. And man, that attitude is that really gave me an inclination that 24th team is going to be tough come the playoffs.
So, Eric, like I said earlier, that Slick Willie and everything he did yesterday was originally my checkers. And what you just said is pretty much word for word what I had in my notes. I said a good driver doesn't do what Slick Willie did yesterday. A great driver does what Slick Willie did yesterday. And I think we're watching a future champion. That's what I have it right here in my notes. And I think whether it's this year or in the future, there's no doubt in my mind, Slick Willie 2 Clocks is going to be a champion in our sport.
I completely agree with you guys. And, this is our third year of the podcast. I feel like every year William Byron's been getting better and better, where we're like, oh, this is his breakout year. And then he kind of cooled off and everything. Like, no, this is his breakout year. He's already got multiple wins on the season. And like you guys said, it's easy to coast to the playoffs right now, and they're not. They're just sticking to it. They're getting every point because they know those playoff points are important, and they want to be in contention. I think William Byron's going to be a force to be reckoned with for a long time to come. He's just getting better and better. All right, let's go through the race notes. I just put down notes for the top 10. I feel like that's where most of the movers really were, like most of the storylines. Because all the guys that got stuck in the back, like Willie B or like Kyle Larson, he got spun by Tyler Reddick early on. He made his way back up to the front. And he finished second. Larson, he had a great day. He led 7 times for 85 laps, especially after being turned earlier in the day by Tyler Reddick, like I said. Just a great overall comeback for him. And Matt, it was funny when you said that that was going to be your checkers was Slick Willie B. I was going to go, well, just give me Larson because he kind of did the same thing, just quicker.
Yeah, true.
And then William Byron came in third. Like we said, terrible day early on, but he salvaged it going down 2 laps and coming back for a third place finish. Fourth place, Bubba Wallace. I thought he had a really good day. I felt like he was in the top 10 all day long, even pretty much the top 5. He led
on the racetrack was I couldn't find him for a little while there. Ran the Dr. Pepper scheme, which kind of threw me off. And Reddick was in the McDonald's car. And for a little bit there, I was like, I had it a little confused.
No, the same thing was happening to me where I would see those golden arches and I thought it was Bubba. I was like, oh man, Bubba's making good moves back there. And I'm like, oh no, Bubba's even further up than Reddick right now. Like,
and if you've been watching the sport for a long time too, like Dr. Pepper, who was that? Tommy Baldwin, I think, had the Dr. Pepper scheme for a long time. It was always a back marker for a long time. So it was weird seeing Dr. Pepper up front.
But he led 4 times for 9 laps. I thought he did a really good job. Matt, you said something. To be honest, we just took a break. I did a shot of cold syrup or cough syrup. But Matt, you said like Bubba's track is Kansas.
Well, yeah, Bubba's track is Kansas. So he won last year, obviously in the September race. And then I was just taking a look at the loop data for him. And just if you give me 1 second here, his average racing position was 6th yesterday, which is 3rd best average racing position, just behind our winner, Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex Jr., who probably had the 2nd best car on the track yesterday.
Yeah.
He laid down, look at this. He laid down 15 of the fastest laps. He had a driver rating of 113.5, which is phenomenal. Bubba had a great car, and I do believe that Kansas is becoming Bubba's track. Yes, he only has that 1 win, so you can't really give the track to him quite yet. But as far as performance goes, Kansas is his best track.
And as long as he's in that Toyota seems to be the dominant manufacturer at Kansas. And, Bubba was going to be my backup checkers if I had to, because I just noticed him running solid all day long. And, just to kind of give another reason for my checkers, I listened to his post-race interview, and normally at a Bubba, even when he finishes 2nd, we get a whole storyline. He threw his Hans device. He's upset about himself, blah, blah, blah. I saw a different Bubba in that post-race interview. He looked a little bit more upbeat. He knew what he had, and he said, you know what? He's like, we had about a 4th place car today. He goes, those other guys were a tick better. He goes, but I'm glad to bring it home in 4th. That's the car that we had. We were fast, but we were just a tick off. And he seemed to maybe get his confidence back a little bit after, many weeks ago where, he kind of lost it in a post-race interview and was real hard on himself. So it was good to see Bubba have a good day and maybe get over that hump.
Yeah, well,
and if you look, it's never too early to start looking at the playoff picture too. He's the first one out right now, so he's right there as far as points go. So just continue to be consistent, have good finishes, and he should find himself in another playoff berth.
I tell you what, I don't think it's too early to start talking about playoffs either, because usually around the Coke 600 is where that playoff storyline starts coming. We're getting really close. It's kind of crazy. I think we're 12 races into the season, and we're already halfway through the regular season. Like, this is crunch time for playoff drivers on that bubble. Like, this is the time you need to be making points, because you don't want it to come down to Daytona and you miss it by 2 points, because that's the story we hear every single year.
I mean, dude, you look at the biggest name, or the most popular name, I should say, in our sports, with Chase Elliott. He missed 6 races.
Yeah.
He's out. That point, Chase, there is a path for him to point his way in, even though if you ask him, he says that's not even, we're not even looking at that. We've got to go win.
I think
that's going to be it mathematically is a possibility. And if they keep putting together races like they have since he got back, like, he should be able to make it. But I think that in and of itself is a storyline. You got to watch, are they going to win? And if they're not going to win, are they going to be consistent enough to point their way in? And we're at the point now, like Whitey said, we're 12 races into the season, where all these storylines that we always talk about are starting to formulate, and it's starting to make the racing more interesting. And it's starting to give us more content to talk about. So this is where the season of NASCAR really starts to take shape, and it's a really exciting time. From now until essentially the regular season ends, like, this is the most exciting 3 or 4 months of NASCAR right here. We're entering it right now.
No, it is for sure. Man, boys, I hate to tell you this, but I never hit record on the video the second time. But I have the audio still rolling. So this is an on-air production meeting really quick, because I don't want to lose that momentum. Should we just put a little graphic in between and just run the audio in the middle of the episode?
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Boys, people listening at home, I'm still sick. I'm sorry. Thank you for bearing with us. But yeah, no, all those points, too great to not leave in. So I agree. And then 5th place, Ross Chastain. He led twice for 3 laps, just a solid top 10 car. I feel like I know Noah Gragson had an issue with him, and he said he doored him, and I did see the contact. But other than that, I feel like Ross had a pretty quiet day for Ross Chastain. What do you guys think?
I mean, that Trackhouse camp, they're fast. Even when Suarez is fast, he's been having the mechanical failures, or just that bad luck kind of hovering over him. Like, we've seen stretches of MTJ have, where, like, it's like, man, it's like nothing is going their way. So they still are fast. They're the second tier down from Hendrick Motorsports as far as the Chevy camp goes. So I think they're going to be there for the foreseeable future, running in the top 5, top 10. And hey, he's still the points leader, so he's doing something right.
No, I agree.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I agree.
I was just gonna talk about the incident that sparred the fight after the race with Noah and Ross. It's we come back to what I said last week with my wreckers. Ross doesn't get that benefit of the doubt anymore. I didn't think what he did yesterday with his incident with Noah was all that egregious. He ran him up the track a little bit. He probably took that corner exit a little too wide on him, but it wasn't crazy. It's not like he slammed him into the wall or anything, or straight up wrecked him like he did Brennan Poole last week. Yeah. But he's run out of that benefit of the doubt, and the entire Cup garage knows it now. So whenever anything happens and Ross is in the vicinity, he's going to get the blame for it. You have guys like Chase Elliott, our most popular driver, tell Noah after the fight that, hey, someone had to do it. You know, so the garage knows about it. So he's got to be careful out there, or yes, he's our point leader right now, but he won't be for long, because he's not going to be giving breaks like everyone else might get.
I thought that Chase quote was before the fight started. I thought Chase encouraged him to go and hit him.
I thought so too, but then that video came out that I shared with you guys today. Okay. That was post-fight.
Oh, okay. All right.
I thought he encouraged him too. Like, hey, go ahead. Go ahead. Go swing on him.
Like, man, someone's got to do it. Might as well be you, not me. I got a Napa sponsorship to worry about. You got
an image to keep.
Yeah. Look at your hair. You're good to go.
That's why I think Ross stays at the top. I think that's why Ross is at the top, and he is our points leader right now, is because as much as the drivers want to do a lot of this,
No
they
one
also
does
have a
anything.
lot of sponsorship and a lot of people behind them saying, hey, if you do this, hey, we're going to pull out. We don't want to do this. We don't want you to say this, say that. In this corporate run world, you have to listen to them over what you really want to do. And when you are in the top 10 echelon as far as popular driver, champions of the sport, I think you tend to second guess that, and it will take something very, very egregious for them to actually swing on somebody. But to me, I think Ross stays at the top because no one else is going to do what Noah did.
No,
dude, I love Noah. Like if you listen to us long enough, we used to kind of hate on Noah a lot. I've done a complete 360 on him. That kid doesn't care. He's the kid in lunch in high school who will take his tray and smash someone in the face just because they skipped them in line.
Yeah,
in the lunch line. He doesn't give a shit. Dude, this is Ross's like third or fourth fight in the past year or two. Like, he doesn't care if someone wrongs him. He's gonna go at least get in their face about it. Like I said earlier, he needs to learn to swing first, but he's at least going to confront them.
No, I agree. And you want to know what? I was the biggest hater of Noah Gragson. I'm all here for it, and Eric, I think you make a really good point too. How much are these guys beholden to these sponsors, where we talk about or just people in general talk about how NASCAR drivers' personalities have been neutered over the years. Is it the sponsorships that do it? It has to be, right?
I would say, it is cancel culture in this today's, today and age, and any little thing you say, whether you believe it or not, and you think it could just be funny or whatever, and you don't think it's going to do this or do that, it's a big deal for these corporations and these people that have to listen to all of the people and the criticism coming in on them. So they don't want to take chances with their driver doing anything or making them look bad while wearing their logo on your chest and your, you know what I mean? So I would assume it has a lot to do with these drivers not doing anything. I don't know as far as contractually allowing them and saying, hey, you can't do this or do that. I doubt that, but I would guarantee that in those team meetings, they get an earful about, hey, this, this week, this is on your car, this person, blah, 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 blah. They probably get sick of hearing it, and then, like I said, I think it will take something very egregious on the racetrack for one of those top guys to get into it with another top guy.
You know what I thought was super interesting? This is completely off topic. Well, not really. It's on topic, but it was on the Dale Jr. download last week with Tony Stewart. Tony Stewart is married to a professional drag racer, Leah Pruitt, right? And he was talking about how they met and how they started dating and everything. It was during the pandemic and stuff. And they went on this road trip together, and that's when they fell in love. It was really crazy. But the thing that I found most insane was both of their first instincts were to call their sponsors and their manufacturers, because she races for Mopar Dodge and he races for Ford. And they had to figure out all those little things of, I won't show up to the track wearing any Ford stuff when she's racing. She won't show up. And it's
insane.
And it's crazy. You have to even think about that with the person you're dating. So who knows what these drivers' pressures are under for these corporate sponsorships. And like you said, they're paying their money for advertisement. They want to make as much money as they can. It's the way their business works, So I'm sure they don't want their business being advertised by, a guy getting in a fight. I think
with a bowl cut,
with a bowl cut, but I think it's a very interesting topic that I don't think a lot of people really talk about. But back to the race notes. Sixth place, Joey Logano. He led once for 8 laps. That was the end of stage 2. I mentioned earlier, it was a pretty off the wall strategy. Took a wave around or something like that, and was able to get those points. And then was able to stay in the top 10 throughout the rest of the day. So I don't know if they took a big swing on pit road or just track position was that key for the Fords. And then 7th place, Chase Elliott. He had another solid top 10 day. At some point, I feel like he was in contention to win. He was up front.
He was coming.
Top four. Yeah, he was in top four, top five battling.
He was coming. He had a car. They figured that shit out, and he just faded away on the last end of the run there.
And we've seen that with Hendrick the last 2 weeks where they've just had really good short run cars.
Yeah.
And the Toyotas have just been better on the long runs. And I guess it comes down to setup on that one. But like we said earlier today, just now, Chase needs that win. So the pressure is definitely getting on him. I have no doubt that Chase Elliott could win a race before the playoffs, though. We got a lot of road courses coming up.
Hit one road course. Yeah. We're good.
Yeah, we got a super speedway. I don't. Has Chase ever won at Daytona? I know he's won at Talladega a few times.
Daytona, I don't think so. Come back to me on that one.
I tell you what. I hope that's the storyline. Chase Elliott going into Daytona. Could you imagine?
I don't. I hope he wins at Darlington this weekend, and that storyline is put to rest.
Matt, close your ears. For the sport, that would be absolutely
amazing.
Fire scenario, dude. That would be absolutely insane.
Because think about the hype between Blaney and Truex last year going into Daytona.
They're all up front. Blaney shoves him out of the way.
Yeah.
None of them have a win.
But you put Chase out, like Matt. I know. I apologize to Charlie Warner, friend of the show. He's a big Chase fan. I apologize to all the Chase fans. I want to see Chase Elliott make the playoffs. You need your most popular driver to win to make it into the playoffs and go deep. But man, what a fucking story that would be. All the hype around the fucking Daytona summer race. Oh my God. And then if he won it, oh my God, my heads would explode.
He's not going to make it in on points. He needs this win.
Yeah. Oh my God. What a fucking story.
The only Daytona race Chase won was the road course. Go figure.
Oh, that Clash one? The road course Clash, or was that
no.
No. That was in the COVID year when they added in. Yeah, okay. You want to know what? I wish they would bring the Clash back to the road course. I think that would be interesting. Speaking of someone that locked themselves into the playoffs, though, Martin Truex Jr. got an 8th place finish. He had a great car, leading 8 times for 79 laps. I couldn't really remember what happened to him to get him stuck in the 9th place. Was it just a bad restart or something? What took him out of contention for the win? Or was he was strong in the second and first stage, right?
Yeah, he had a strong car. And there was a point at the end where I thought he was going to get it too, but same thing with like Joey and some of those cautions, it just threw the strategies and everything just for a loop there. And I did get confused in the middle of who was on what strategy. And why certain people jumped up and back, because I'm looking for fantasy and you're seeing like, oh my God, what happened here? Like, what's going on? And he had a really, really strong day. Because I remember at one point in time turning a call, and my buddy who's a Truex fan, I'm like, dude, you might see your boy go back to back here. He's got a rocket ship.
He had one of the best cars out there yesterday. Yeah.
And then 9th place, Tyler Reddick. He had a good day. He was in the top 5 for a lot of the day. He led once for 23 laps. He turned Kyle Larson early on in the race to get that lead. Wasn't too.
I think Larson came up. I like that was one of those things where a little too early. You went up to block. Momentum is key at Kansas. He wasn't going to lift. It's what happened to him at the end of the race. To be quite honest with you, to talk about the Denny thing. Everyone talks about it. Denny bitched about him, called him out, said, "Hey, he makes everyone lift. He makes everyone lift." Well, guess what happened? 2 instances at Kansas. He forced somebody into a thing, and he expected them to lift. And guess what they did? They did not lift.
Yeah.
This ain't dirt racing, Kyle.
Right.
And then rounding out the top 10, Austin Dillon, who I was surprised to see because Austin Dillon's been struggling really bad lately. But I did notice him in the top 15 for a lot of the day. So probably just a decent top 10 car. I don't know if strategy played into it. I wasn't really paying attention
Kurt
to the
Busch
3 car.
pre-race, I almost threw him in fantasy late because he saw that he had a pretty fast car.
Yeah.
He had mentioned it on air before the race started.
Yeah, I feel like I saw him touch the top 5 a couple times, but I couldn't tell if it was in like the middle of the second stage where we had some guys stay out for the wave round and stuff like that. So I really wasn't paying attention to the 3 car. So I'm not sure. But that's all I have for race notes. You guys have anything else to add to the Kansas race at all?
Just thank God it was hot and slick. I think that helped out tremendously. And, I'm hoping for more hot weather, slick racetracks going forward.
Yeah, me too, man. We're getting to those summer months. I'm hoping the Coke 600 starts nice and hot and slick, and then it turns into that cold track at night. Oh man, am I excited!
We're all throwing on hoodies and going to change, throw jeans on.
But everyone loves to talk about the winner on a Monday, one Dennis Hamlin. We like to talk about the loser, and unfortunately this week it was his teammate Christopher Bell. He spun on the backstretch and smashed the inside wall. Just an unfortunate wreck for C. Bell. I don't think anyone else was involved. We saw a lot of guys lose it off of turn 2 in the backstretch, especially in that third stage, and super unfortunate.
Dude, who was it? Was it Bush? Who was it who had that slide that felt like it took a half an hour to come to an end?
Yeah, it was Kyle Busch.
It wasn't
Busch. He barely tapped the nose, and it's like he didn't have a lot of damage. Yeah.
He slid for like most of stage 3.
I was like, I remember seeing the whole thing too and going, oh no. And Bree goes, what are you, a Kyle Busch fan now? I'm like, I still like the 8 team. Randall put that car together, I want to see him do
had
well.
The slide where his tires were smoking. There was all smoke, and that's what caused everyone to move out of the smoke.
Someone kept it off the wall, though. Who was it? There was a great save.
I think that's what I'm talking about.
Or was it the truck race? Am I thinking of one that happened in the truck race?
One of the 2 races that I think it would do. I'm pretty sure it was the Cup race yesterday. There was a slide that lasted for 3.5 hours, and I'm pretty sure they kept it off the wall.
You want to what? Man.
Sorry for the listeners. I know this isn't
long, and he just touched the nose on the inside wall. EJ spun twice and didn't hit anything. But he caused other people, like Barry had to swerve around. I think because of the smoke, they couldn't see, and like tagged into a couple other cars because of the smoke coming off the tires. But man, back-to-back weeks, I'll tell you what, EJ's had some excellent saves.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, he has.
Not great racing or fast cars, but hey, he could save
That's
one
not
from
his
hitting the wall.
Yeah, I don't know. We didn't talk about it on.
It definitely happened. Maybe it was the truck race. Maybe because we both watched the truck race. So I don't know. But there was one of the races. There was a slide that lasted 6.5 hours,
and they kept it off the wall and like barely off the wall.
Yes.
If you're listening at home and you know what we're talking about, please message us on Twitter or leave a comment.
Whitey's got COVID brain, and I'm just dumb.
Yeah. Well, you want to know what too? Like, I was running a high fever on Saturday night watching that truck race, and you were like 7 beers deep at that point too. So like, both my brain's been cooking for a week straight, to be honest with you. Like, I haven't gotten rid of. Today's the first day I haven't had a fever like all day long. So yeah. Anyways, we got a pick lane this week.
Hey, is this the first one of the year?
I think it might be the first one of the year. It's been a while since we did a pickle lane. Matt brought this one up, and I thought it was super interesting. We kind of touched on it a little bit, but I think it's still worth talking about. Is Ross Chastain good for the sport or problematic for the sport? And Matt, since you brought it up, what are your thoughts?
You can make a case for either way there, right? Like there's definitely an argument to be had on either side of the fence. I'm going with, I think he's fantastic for the sport. Whether you like him, love him, hate him, you're indifferent about him. I went out to lunch today with a couple coworkers, and if you guys know of J&J Deli, there's the bar and there's TVs and everything all over the place.
Yeah.
And on all the TVs, they were replaying the fight. So I mean, whether it's a fight, I mean, you prefer it to be the on-track stuff that networks are running with, but we're talking about NASCAR because
Any press is good.
Every week, Ross is doing something right, wrong, or indifferent, whether you agree with his racing style or not. He's doing something that's creating storylines, that's creating drama. People are talking about it. You had the watermelon, or what do we call the hail melon last year, that everybody in the entire sports world was talking about, who doesn't even watch NASCAR. And so he's gaining a name for himself. Whether it's a good one or a bad one, he's gaining a name for himself. And people are talking about NASCAR a lot because of Ross Chastain lately. So I think it's good for the sport. I think he's good for the sport.
Yeah, I kind of agree, but I want to hear Eric's thoughts too. Before
I agree with Matt. Like I could see that point of view. We've talked on here how many times of like Slick Willie 2 clocks, get a personality, get something, walk out there. And I think that's but then again, that's more of a Ross Chastain thing. Not is it good for the sport or not? Yes, when it gets talking, it's good for the sport, but that's fine from race 1 till I'd say now, because you need storylines in the beginning. No one's really there. The racing isn't there. The teams are figuring stuff out. So, you tend to get those storylines. And at the end of a race, we're talking about that instead of like the racing, which at a certain point, when you do that, that means the racing wasn't good. But where I have a problem with is yesterday when we have a good race and now we're still talking and Ross incident causes us to overshadow a good race.
Yeah.
And that is, so I would rather Matt walk into a bar and show Denny hunting down Larson and getting that win and doing a burnout rather than showing a fist fight because Ross Chastain, crowd somebody coming out of a turn. So I could see it's like a double-edged sword there. He has an opportunity to amplify the sport, but also there could be certain instances where he does hurt the sport. So like, I'm kind of 50-50.
So I was going to play. So I believe, my original and true feelings is what I just said. I believe he's good for the sport. I truly believe that. But if I was going to play devil's advocate and just for the sake of, that second part of the question, is he problematic for the sport? Like I said before, you can make an argument for that as well. So there's no right or wrong answer here. Like Eric said, all these storylines are getting in the way of the racing. At some point, we have guys, we're talking about our points leader right now. We're not talking about someone sitting in 18th. We're talking about the guy who's on top of our sport right now. He's got all the talent in the world. He's got championship caliber talent. And we're not ever really talking about how good of a driver he is. We're talking about all the mistakes that he keeps making. And there's a question to be had of, I'm not saying it, but there is a question to be had. Is that stunting the sport because we have such a great talent who just keeps making all these problems for himself? Yeah. We're not talking about the right things when it comes to Ross, is what I'm trying to say.
When does he overshadow the sport in the public eye? I didn't even think about that, to be honest with you guys, until you brought it up. And it made me think of just the incredible feat that Christopher Bell accomplished last year at Martinsville, winning his second playoff race in a row he needed to win to advance to the next stage. And it was completely overshadowed by the Hail Melon, which the Hail Melon, absolutely amazing move, should be.
Win, you know what I mean? Like it was like you just did enough.
You just did enough to get there.
Christopher Bell won, like you're saying.
Yeah.
You just did enough. You know what I mean? To like.
And the storyline should have absolutely been Christopher Bell walk-off moment, and it wasn't at all.
And this week we had a great race in Kansas, and we made SportsCenter for the Ross Chastain fight.
I told you guys this morning. My stepmother was coming over to watch my kid, to babysit him before work, and so I was sitting there watching SportsCenter, passing the time, and it's something I don't get to do often anymore. And I'm like, oh my God, they're talking about the race. They're covering the race, but in my mind, the only reason why they were covering all they did when they covered the race was talk about the last lap. That's all they showed. Yeah. And in my mind, the only reason they did that was so that they can talk about the fight afterwards. Yeah. Because then they focused the rest of the highlight on the fight. And it's like, come on, like we had the best 50 laps of the season yesterday, and it got overshadowed by Ross Chastain again.
So personally, I think Ross Chastain is great for the sport. I think this type of his, not only his story, like his blue collar background, watermelon farmer from Florida. I always thought it was awesome when he'd smash the watermelon after a win. Like that's just a cool thing to do. I felt like he was really relatable to a lot of fans who also work, blue collar jobs, backbreaking type of work. And I rooted for Ross Chastain. We talked about it last week. I have a Ross Chastain Melon Man sticker on my laptop that I got when he was still in the Truck Series, because I like that storyline. But I think the problematic part is he's problematic for other drivers, and other drivers are very vocal about it, So you kind of have this infighting, where it kind of reminds me, and I hate when people really do compare Ross Chastain and Dale Earnhardt, but back in the day, Dale Earnhardt and Rusty Wallace, they ruffled a lot of feathers, but they were also doing it to sell t-shirts. I think the problem with Ross Chastain right now is NASCAR doesn't know what to do with him to market him to the general public like we used to market drivers back in the 90s.
You just said something there, to the general public. So a casual listener of our show, Luke, he had mentioned today, he called me. He's like, oh, that guy that I saw fight, NASCAR, was that yesterday? I go, yeah, that was yesterday. She goes, dude, I love that guy that threw that punch. Yeah. And I go, bro, he's the one nobody could stand right now.
He's the bad guy.
Yeah, he's like kind of the bad guy. But if you look at it from that aspect, I guarantee you Ross Chastain has 1 million new fans now.
Yeah. Oh,
because all they saw was him. Oh, he's the one that threw a punch. Yeah, he's my guy. He's going to stand up, throw a punch. And I get it. I absolutely get that. He won in this instance. He made out even better out of this situation.
Oh, yeah.
And to the general fan, they're going to look at that and be like, oh, hell yeah, I'm going to take the guy that, that's my guy. And it's like, oh man,
what's crazy? I didn't even think about that. If you're not a NASCAR fan and you're just at a restaurant with TVs on, with your coworkers for lunch, and all you see is this guy getting approached, this guy getting grabbed, and then him swinging and defending himself, you're saying to yourself, good for that guy when he's the aggressor.
Yeah,
right.
He's the aggressor.
And you don't know the backstory of the fight.
And this whole time he's like, oh, they're telling him, look at Ross Chastain, the watermelon farmer, blue collar. He punches a kid with a bowl cut rookie in the face. It's like that, it's hilarious that I even said that, and it's a true thing.
Yeah, that's a true scenario.
A watermelon farmer punched a rookie young kid with a bowl cut in the face after a nap.
And the reason why the dude has a bowl cut is because he lost a bet last week.
Yeah, those are probably the two most marketable people in our sport right now.
Yeah,
they fought each other, and NASCAR's fumbling the bag.
And NASCAR doesn't know what to do with it.
But I feel like that's the general problem in NASCAR right now, because, like we said, the fans are showing up to the stands. The sport has momentum. But we still haven't found that balance, especially in marketing our stars.
But you know what I found out? Ross is not the villain we all think he's capable of being and is. He's just an aggressive driver. That is it. Because you saw, and this is the problem that I had. Okay, yeah, Noah gripped him up, and he said stop,
he told him stop a bunch of times.
But this is the part that pissed me off. And this is the part that why Joey pissed me off, and why Chastain still irks people when he says, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do it, blah, blah, blah.
Stop apologizing.
Right. So Noah grabs him, right? Ross quickly sees the bodyguard coming in, gets his shot in, and immediately goes like this.
He did. He put his hands up.
Here goes, oh, I didn't do nothing. I don't want a conversation.
He goes, we're not fighting. We're not fighting.
Away and didn't want to go further.
Yeah.
All he wanted to do was throw a shitty punch while the bouncer came in and step back. You're a bitch, Ross Chastain. If you're really going to fight, stay in there and fight like a man. Don't throw a cowardly punch when you know the bodyguard is there, and back away and put your hands up. So, that right there showed me he's not a villain. He doesn't want to be a villain.
Yeah,
he just wants to be an aggressive race car driver and win races. And I love that about him. I just like you, Whitey, big fan. But at the same time, just know when to do it. Like that's the frustrating part. He just has to learn. I love that he's the way he drives and he's aggressive, and we need those guys in the sport. So yes, I think he is good for the sport, but there's certain instances when he shoots himself in the foot, essentially.
Dude, if I'm Ross's PR agent or his agent or his marketing team, whatever he has, I'm telling him, dude, lean into it. Stop apologizing. Own how aggressive you are on the racetrack and lean into it. Go on the mic after the race and be like, yeah, I did it and I would do it again because I'm out there to win, and just own it and be the villain. You know, even if he's not a villain, his racing style is villainous. So just own it at this point. Lean into it.
And you want to know what? I blame part of NASCAR too. You can't find a guy if he leans into it. You can't do it. You know, like they find Denny Hamlin earlier in the year.
Oh, NASCAR is for sure ruining it by, not letting them be who they are and really let their personality show. I agree. Like in this day and age, we don't get the same rivalries like we had, back in the day, because NASCAR kind of doesn't allow it to happen. And like we said earlier in the show, the sponsors in corporate America doesn't let it happen.
It's the cancel culture. It's everything.
It's a whole different world. And, either you let the boys have at it or you don't let them have at it, and that's the part that always irked me, was because NASCAR is going to use that now. And like they find their drivers for when they do stuff, but then they use it to make, and that's the grimy, greasy part in it all. So either let them have it. And like you said, Matt, you lean into it, or, just don't let it happen at all,
No, I agree. And I you want to know what? I like this conversation. If you're listening, leave a comment. Tell us what you think. Do you think Ross Chastain is good for the sport or problematic? A little bit of both. I want to know what everyone else listening thinks. But we have to move on. We got another race coming up.
Marty, you've got to come back with me. Where?
The next NASCAR Cup race. It's the weekend preview.
And we're heading to Darlington for Mother's Day weekend and Throwback weekend. Trucks on track Friday night, 7:30 on FS1 for the Buckle Up South Carolina 200. Xfinity on track Saturday, 1:30 on Fox for the Shriners Children's 200. And then Sunday, Cup on track on FS1, 3 p.m. for the Goodyear 400. And to go over our bets from last week, Eric unfortunately picked Christopher Bell last week. He had a strong car early on in the day, until he got into the wall. He got you 6 points. I came in second. I picked Chase Elliott. He got me a top 10, but no stage points. So he got me 30 points. And then, Matt picked the winner, Dennis Hamlin. He got you 51 points. And this has been the 5th win that we've picked in 12 races. We're almost at 50%. And we decided earlier today, we're going for the wins, baby. We're going for the wins. So earlier in the season, to make it fun for us, we were only going to pick a driver 3 times, and then you had to cancel it out. You couldn't use them again. Now we've decided, fuck that. We're telling you who we would actually bet on. We don't want to get to later on in the season and we're picking Ryan Newman in a Cody Ware car because we're all out of Chase Elliott picks. We want you to bet along with the show like we bet along. And we want to give you who we genuinely think is going to win the race throughout the whole entire season. So we're scrapping that whole entire deal. We're just going with the wins, baby. And that means that Eric gets to pick first. I pick second, and Matt picks last. Matt, do you have any stats for us for Darlington, or are we going in cold?
Going in, baby. We're going in. Although
I have one thing. This is the race that we had controversy last year at the end of this race, boys. We had Slick Willie 2 clocks get punted out of the way by the 22 for the win. Remember that controversy?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I remember for sure.
Was it good? Was it bad? So, already last year, Slick Willie was fast. Yeah. And this year, Slick Willie is faster than he was last year. I think the 22 that won that race, I think the Ford camps regressed. The Fords aren't running well. So maybe just keep that in mind.
So is that your pick? Or are you going with Slick Willie 2 clocks for your Darlington winner? Okay. All right.
I am going
bait and switch.
I am going with your boy who has a top 3 finish, both races, Tyler Reddick and the Toyota camp continues their dominance.
Okay.
I'm going with the 45 car.
All right. I like it. I didn't realize he's finished top 3 at Darlington both times last year. Now that you say it, it brings it
At
back.
least top 5, maybe not 3. It was top 5. I know for sure.
I like it. Toyotas have been strong, and that's why I'm also sticking in the Toyota camp.
Don't do it.
I picked him for this race last year. He didn't get it. I don't think he got it done on Mother's Day last year. He got it done the year before that. He got it done in Dover last week. I'm going with one Martin Truex Jr. I'm sorry, Matt. I have to. You have to go with the hot manufacturer right now. If you're listening and not watching, Matt walked off the show.
I'm back. Just like I said earlier, you guys just gave me a layup.
Okay.
Just like I said earlier, NASCAR is going to take the month of May away from IndyCar. There's one person who's going to take the month of May away from NASCAR. We're going to see a back-to-back winner. We're going to see James Dennis Hamlin get back into victory lane again. That's what's going to go down. You wanted to take the restrictor plate of 3 picks off the table.
Yeah.
I'm taking James Dennis Hamlin. He's going to win this race. He's got 4 wins here at this track for Darlington.
He loves the lady in black. Denny
loves
loves
the lady in black. Dennis does.
Denny just loves the ladies, you know?
Yes.
So,
yeah. So I'm dressed all in black for the lady in black here this week. I think James Dennis Hamlin's gonna tame her once again.
Whitey, so I have the shirt on for a reason too today.
Because of the 45, I like it.
Tyler Reddick, 2nd in the spring race.
Yep.
3rd in the fall race. So it was 2 top 3s.
All right.
He was my first pick. I was hoping no one would take him because I really like Reddick for
if
this
you guys
race.
didn't, and like we didn't have this Ford talk, and I still think this is a veteran track.
Yeah.
Kevin Harvick, if you're looking for a good put money, I would say Kevin Harvick. He knows how to get around that racetrack. It's his last time he's going there. I would also look out for Kevin Harvick.
Second to last time. We got the Southern 500 coming up in the fall, but no, like we said earlier, yeah, Ford's struggling, but somehow Kevin Harvick's been able to maintain. I like all of our picks. I like all of our picks. I think it was a great one. And if you don't go with these guys, Hendrick Motorsports has been killing it too. We got to hope for a long run for these Toyotas. We are 12 races in to the 2023 season, and we have 9 different winners. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Kyle Busch, William Byron, Joey Logano, Tyler Reddick, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Martin Truex Jr., and Denny Hamlin. Can Denny get his 2nd win back-to-back? Can Martin Truex Jr. put another win on the season in just 3 races? Or will Tyler Reddick get his 2nd win in the 45 car? We will find out this Sunday on FS1, 3 p.m. for the Goodyear 400. And make sure you wish your mother a happy Mother's Day. We will talk to you then Monday night.
You, Mom.
I love you too, Mom. We will talk to you Monday night. For Statman Matt, for Eric Daytona Ron, I'm Michael D. White saying have a good night.